65 horsepower trap that might pop wide open, Rats.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the TPT podcast. I am joined by my man, Gabe Colon, Eagles super fan, one of the diehard super fans of the Eagles that I know. He's excited to get on the podcast, talk about the playoff and the Philadelphia Eagles. Gabe, what is up, man? It's been a long time I've known you. You've been the biggest Eagles fan I know, about 8 years now, which is crazy. So how are you feeling about your Eagles? Let people know, why you're an Eagles fan, how you became an Eagles fan, who's some of your favorite Eagles players of all time.
Yeah, man. First of all, before we even dive into it, thank you very much for having me here. For those who don't know, me and Jaden go way back. We're talking
CFA years, man.
Oh my gosh, I'm in the CFA Hall of Fame. Don't have my ring or my plaque here, but it should be coming in the mail. It's been about 6 years, but shout out to Jaden for all that he's doing, man. Just to see you for what you're doing, and I've seen this in you for so long, where you've been so passionate about football, and it was only a matter of time before you came up with something like this for this podcast. So I tip my hat to you. As for myself, man, I have been. So for those that don't know me, I was born in New York City, and people ask me all the time, how am I an Eagles fan? When I was born in New York, I moved to Philadelphia, started watching football and basketball in 2003. First time I had ever watched a football game. I saw Donovan McNabb. I saw Brian Westbrook. I saw Brian Dawkins. I saw this amazing Eagles team make a run. Yeah, make a run to the Super Bowl versus the Patriots and lose. And since then, I have been an Eagles fan, die hard, embrace the underdog feeling. I've been the butt of a lot of jokes in my entire life when it came to this team, but the Eagles are doing well, man, and it's a great time to be an Eagles fan for sure.
Yeah, I can remember in 2017 when our local church had a Super Bowl party, and there was probably about 8 Patriots fans in the building. A majority of people there were Patriots fans, but lo and behold, Gabe was there, and to see the joy and happiness to see, your team win a Super Bowl was awesome, because I know how that joy felt 2 years later when the Chiefs felt it when they won, when your team finally gets over the hump, because they're such a historic franchise. They finally got the monkey off their back and won that Super Bowl. Now they're trying to get to another Super Bowl. And I just want to know some of your thoughts on this season, how this season went down. And in your all honesty, did you have this type of vision for the Eagles? Like, did you sit down week 1, September, early or late August, and go, this team's definitely going to be a one-loss team with Jalen Hurts, and then, fall off a little bit with their backup, but be almost a perfect team with their starting quarterback? Was that something you had in mind, or was there something different?
Yeah, so I stepped into this season very optimistic as a fan, just in general, knowing that the NFC East has been the Cowboys show for the last 2 years or so. But I was very optimistic coming into this year because not only did I see that the Eagles were right on the cusp of making like a big jump from like a decent team to a great team, the acquisitions that we had just in the offseason, I knew this team would be something special. And it was just a matter of time before things started to gel together. I'll be the first to say, I was Jaden knows very well, I was a big Carson Wentz fan. And when Jalen Hurts walked into the building, I was it was questionable, as 99% of Eagles fans can probably say it was. But looking back, this was probably the best front office decision I've ever seen in my entire life of being an Eagles fan. Jalen Hurts was the clear answer at quarterback, and he definitely played like it this year. Looking back, man, this was a year of franchise records being broken, dude.
Yeah.
Right? 14 wins, never happened before. We had, the AJ Brown breaking the receiving record.
Yeah.
The sack record all time for the Eagles, 3 shy away from the NFL all-time sacks in a year at 72 by the Bears. So just to be in that conversation was It's been great, man. But job not done. Job's not finished.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing. The Eagles have been such a historic team. I can remember in the mid-2000s when Michael Vick first got there. Because if you look at Jalen Hurts, they did have a guy like Carson Wentz on there. Carson Wentz, did have his injuries towards the end of his career in Philly. But let's not forget, in 2017, he was an MVP, essentially. And he just didn't play the last 2 games of the season. So 2 years later, or 3 years later, almost 2 years later, to bring in a guy like Jalen Hurts, it's similar almost to me to the Michael Vick and the Donovan McNabb situation, not necessarily the things that surrounded Vick, but to bring in another quarterback like that, and then towards the end of the season, kind of give him to the keys of the organization. A lot of people were saying we need to draft a quarterback, or we need to go get a quarterback. We need to go get Russell Wilson. That was a big thing. Even this past offseason. And me as an Oklahoma guy, I saw the transition Hurts made from going from Alabama to just being a pure runner to, passing the ball a little bit more, because the thing was, can Jalen Hurts be a pocket passer? There's still some of those questions now, but seeing the jump that he made from his rookie season to now, and even that game in Tampa last year, it's remarkable what the Eagles have been able to accomplish this year. I'm looking at some of the stats right here. Of course, A.J. Brown, even Smith had a fantastic year, over 1,000 yards. 7 touchdowns. Dallas Goedert, he's still a top 5 tight end, even though he was banged up this year. But you had and Miles Sanders quietly, I don't know why, had a really good year. Running the ball. A lot of people are talking about how Miles Sanders played this year. So it's going to be tough for teams to stop the Eagles this postseason. So what are some of the things that you think that they have to get done to get past a team like the Vikings or get past a team like the 49ers? What are some of the things they do need to clean up? Because like I just said, this team is almost flawless, but with every team, there are things they have to work on. So what are some of the things you see that you can pinpoint that they need to work on?
Realistically, especially watching the last, I would say, 4 or 5 games of the season,
for sure.
Eagles have been really bad on 3rd down. And I don't know where the miscommunication is happening with, Gannon and with the places he's calling. But, my mind, it's embedded in my memory that 3rd and 30 to T.Y. Hilton against the Cowboys. Realistically, the Eagles should have won that game. Even if it was a game that, we gave away with these turnovers, they still should have won that game. That 3rd and 30 should have never happened. So I think if we want to make it over the hump, I think we have to start buckling down on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, it all starts with Jalen Hurts on the offensive side of the ball. We have to convert. Eagles are very RPO heavy. I think it's just being very efficient on offense and mixing it up with play calling. We do have to establish the run early in the game. And I think if we establish the run early in the game, it opens up options with our receiving core, which, and this is a non-biased take, I think it may be a top 2, top 3 receiving core in football, if not arguably.
Probably one. Maybe one. If you look at some of the numbers here, maybe one. There's not too many teams that are having 2 receivers on the same side of the ball have 1,000+ yards on offense and 5 touchdowns or more. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone that maybe the Bengals, but even then you had guys banged up and out. So they still didn't put up these type of numbers. And that was without Jalen Hurts for the last 2 games of the season. So they still put up, decent numbers with Minshew in there. But this offense has been really good. Some of the late game big playability from the defensive side of the ball, but those things can always get cleaned up in the postseason. But what are some of your thoughts on people saying that the inexperience of the coaching and the inexperience of Jalen Hurts could maybe catch up to them in the divisional round of the playoffs? Do you think Jalen Hurts is ready to take that next step forward to a Super Bowl realistically? Or does some of these, criticism and naysayers, is some of that, accurate?
I think if there's and again, I'm being as unbiased as possible here. I think if you talk about a player who's the embodiment of the statement bend but not break, it's been Jalen Hurts. Even with what he's dealt with in college, bro, a lot of times that we've looked at many college players before that, especially at a big position, the most important position as quarterback, who would have been broken mentally, emotionally after what happened when he transferred and lost a job and what have you, then came to the NFL, had to fight adversity to win the job of the starting quarterback. I think if there's one person who embodies bend but not break, it's Jalen Hurts. And I think he's a great quarterback. He's a great leader. I think what sets him apart from a lot of people is his mentality, dude.
Yeah.
Like he truly has that dog mentality. And that dog mentality is so overused nowadays. And it's just freely given to people. But truly, he has that dog mentality. So I really am not worried. He doesn't show any emotion. He's clearly not satisfied. And I think he's trying to make he has a point to prove, to be honest. He has a point to prove, because even towards the end of the season, with this ridiculous season we've had offensively, Jalen Hurts, to some people, is still a system quarterback. And clearly, I don't think that's the thing here.
And you're dead on about, you see a lot of these people, that come into the league and, they have that dog in them, or they have that mentality in them. Jalen Hurts, a lot of people think it's some people say, oh, look at him, he's cocky or he's arrogant. I just think he's a business guy. He's a business guy. And even, when he was at Oklahoma, there was times where he would win a game by 30, 40 points. There would be videos of him, his teammates filming him in the locker room, doing, weight room or throwing the ball, just doing the little things each and every day to get better. And he's a winner. Like, he wants to win. And that's the difference. And, every quarterback wants to win. I'm not saying there's other quarterback that wants to win, but there's guys who just, they live and breathe football. And he knows what it means to win in Philly, because it was, like you said, it wasn't easy to go and be drafted by the Eagles. I'm sure if you look back, you'd be like, there's probably other teams I could have went to and been the guy day one. But again, Eagles fans, they were rooting for Carson Wentz because he was a part of that 2017 team. Yeah, it was Nick Foles to get it done eventually, but they knew what Wentz could be if he was healthy. And bringing in Hurts, he had people, oh, he's not ready. He's not ready. There were so many people just saying, go get Russell Wilson. He's not ready. He's not going to be the guy.
Including me.
Yeah. After that Tampa loss. So I think you're dead on. It's the mentality also, because he is similar to other quarterbacks back there. But he's doing better than some of these guys that are drafted in front of him. Guys that are drafted higher than are supposed to be better. Like the guy who took over his job to other guys like that. He's exceeded those expectations of other people. And he's played really, really well. Going to get Gabe's take on what's going to happen in the divisional round. We've talked about the Eagles offense. We've talked about a little bit of the defense. So now we're going to go some of the matchup that's most likely to happen. We have the Cowboys versus Bucks. Those two teams are going to play each other on Monday. That's a matchup. One of those two teams could end up playing the Eagles. You also have the Giants and Vikings. The Giants are the lowest seed available. So if they won that game, you could see them play the Eagles, but most likely you'll either see the Cowboys or Bucks. So who do you think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to match up against in the divisional round? I would love to hear your thoughts on this one.
So I think what I want to happen and what I think will happen is sort of the same answer. But if there's one thing that I learned in the last, 20 plus years of being a football fan, is to never count out Tom Brady, because for some reason, for some strange reason, he gets it done when it matters most. But I don't think that they can get it done, especially against that Cowboys defense, who they're so physical, they're so fast. Leading the way with Micah Parsons, and they do a great job on defense. The Eagle fan in me wants badly to face the Dallas Cowboys. I want the Cowboys in the divisional round. I want a healthy Cowboys team versus a healthy Eagles team. And I want a show. I want fireworks. And I want there to be no shadow of a doubt that the Eagles are the team to be in the NFC East and just the NFC in general. So I truly think that the Cowboys will take that game. I think the Cowboys will just do enough to get it done. But it's tough to see which Cowboys team we're going to see, man. Are we going to, a Cowboys team that we've seen against the Vikings? What did they put up 50 plus? I think what was the score of that game? Or are we going to see them wet the bed?
Yeah, I think it was actually 50. Yeah.
Yeah. Or we're going to see the Cowboys team that they played the Commanders last week and look as lost as could be. And Dak Prescott is being super inconsistent. So truly, I think the Cowboys will sneak it out and they'll play the Eagles in Lincoln Financial Field. And I'm hoping for the best, rooting for the best. I want them to leave us no shadow of a doubt that the Eagles are better than the Dallas Cowboys.
I agree with you. I mean, you can never count out Tom Brady. I mean, there's been years where I'm like, maybe this is their decline. And then boom, they make either a late playoff run or they're in the Super Bowl. But like, my that's what my heart's telling me. But my mind's just like, dude, that offensive line is just beat up as ever. So there's a part of me that's like, Tom Brady is 7-0 versus the Cowboys, but like, can a 45-year-old really escape Michael Parsons? And Michael Parsons is a stud. Like, can they slow him down? I know like the Bucs got some guys on offense. So I do think we could see a NFC East matchup between the Cowboys and the Eagles in the divisional round. That would be very entertaining because they've split this year. Yes, it was with Gardner Minshew, so that is a factor. But I think that would be, like you said, a great scenario because that is what could put the Eagles above the Cowboys, saying we're the sure better team than them. We are the NFC East. We're going to be the NFC East for years to come. So I would love to see that matchup. I would also love to see the Bucs and Eagles as well because we know about those early 2000s Bucs versus Eagles games. Those are always rivalry games. I forget who was at the pick six versus the Eagles way back in the day. So the Eagles are probably still looking for some revenge in the playoffs for that when they went to the Super Bowl. Well, I didn't mean to put any salt on your wound, but Eagles fans are probably looking forward to that, especially some of the older Eagles fans. Those used to be some battles back in the day. So then we're going to move on to the Giants-Eagles game just because that is in the Eagles division. So what is your thoughts on the Vikings and the Giants? Because you do have some kind of a relation to the Vikings because of that 2017 Go Birds NFC Championship game, what I like to call it. So go Birds, baby. So you have those Eagles fans heckling those Vikings fans. My brother's diehard Vikings fan, so he hates the Eagles. And then, of course, the Giants, fierce rival. So who do you think could come out on top on that one? And is any of those two teams do you think could make a run at the Eagles?
Again, I think it goes down to which Vikings team decides to show up. Is it going to be the Vikings team that force fed Justin Jefferson and played him into an MVP conversation like he has this year? Or is it going to be the Kirk Cousins that doesn't have the chain on and he doesn't have the glasses on post game? He looks terrible.
Or is he going to be the dad Kirk Cousins that's going out there and can't win a game if it's not on 1 o'clock?
Yeah, correct. So I think the Vikings sneak that one out. I think don't get me wrong. I mean, the Giants, if they can figure it out on the offensive side of the ball, I think their defense is okay enough to be able to stay within game. But if they can figure it out on the offensive side of the ball, they've been playing solid football, this entire year. I'm not going to say it's been great, but they've been playing solid football. Saquon is healthy. And when's the last time we've seen that? I have the Vikings squeaking this one out.
Yeah. There's nothing more I'd love to see than the Vikings lose to the Giants, but the Giants have been a solid team. I know one of my roommate Alex, Alex, he jokingly said the Giants were going to win 10 games this year at the start of the season, and I laughed at him and I said they'll be lucky to get 6. So that's a game where anything could happen. I'm not going to sit here and just say Vikings by 21. It all depends on Daniel Jones and what happens with Daniel Jones. We're going to get into some of the offseason side of the ball. Yep. All right, so now we're going to go into one of our final segments here. We're going to get Gabe's opinion on the offseason. Like I said, I know the Eagles are still pushing for a Super Bowl, but it's never too early to talk about the draft, talk about some of the free agency acquisitions they could make or they could lose. So what is some of your thoughts on the way, first of all, the Eagles front office has been trending? Because I know there was a lot of criticism for a while because that whole Justin Jefferson thing. He was on the board, and I think they went with Jalen Reagor. So there's been a lot of things that are questioning the GM. I hate to put salt on your wound, but they ended up with a great roster anyway, so it's not too bad. But how do you think that the general managing and some of the moves they've made the last couple years, how it's been moving, and what do you think they need to do this offseason with their picks and free agency?
Yeah, I think, and we talk about Jalen Reagor and that pick, and I think about that pick, and till this day, it hurts me just because Justin Jefferson was still on the board, and just to see the type of receiver that Jefferson has become with, unfortunately, a mediocre, an okay quarterback like Kirk Cousins,
above average.
Yeah, an okay quarterback like Kirk Cousins it's mind blowing. He's so talented. So I think the Eagles front office, besides that pick, has done a great job. They've set this team up for success. We even talk about the offseason acquisitions with A.J. Brown. We talk about adding a Philly native, Hassan Riddick. Even the midseason acquisitions with Ndamukong Suh and Sue, Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph. I mean,
it's a tough one, so I can't say his name either.
Yeah, they've done a great job of setting the Eagles up for success. Now, going into this offseason, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be really tough. We do have the 10th pick in the draft. If I had a choice, I think the Eagles truly need to they have a few needs. Miles Sanders being a free agent, they obviously need a running back. Jason Kelce, his days are numbered. I think he goes after this year. I think the Eagles go either two ways. They either go offensive lineman or they go the safety route. Or if we're judging the Eagles by what they've done in the past, they will go the best player on the board. So whoever is at that point, they will take.
Yeah, so you made some great points there. Jason Kelce, I know they drafted a center last year that Jason Kelce really has been mentoring and loved. I don't have the name off the top of my head. But, Jason Kelce, a huge leader, great player. That'll be a huge loss, but he is getting a little bit older. Miles Sanders, you could see a guy like Miles Sanders because the running back market this year, there's not too many guys. There's Josh Jacobs, some other players, but you could see that guy, potentially get paid by a team. And if the Eagles, they'll run the ball, but they've never been a super run-heavy team. Even going back to the Andy Reid days, they really haven't. So you could see them maybe get a guy in the 3rd, 4th round. There's good running backs in this draft. You got guys like Deuce Vaughn, a lot of guys you can work with and get cheaper and push your money elsewhere. But if they want to bring back Miles Sanders, I don't think many Eagles fans would hate that either. So there's another guy you could bring back. There's a lot of like you said, safeties in this class. There's a couple out of the University of Alabama that you could go with. The receiver position is pretty set. Do you think they try to go for a tight end, or do you think they stick with Dallas Goedert?
I think Dallas Goedert is the most slept on tight end one of the most slept on tight end in football, just because he's not putting up Kelsey or Kittle numbers. He's often overlooked. But what that guy does on the offensive side of the ball is just remarkable. I think he was second this year in yards after catch for tight ends, which nobody will talk about or they would ever pay mind to, just because he's not am I correct on that? Can you check on that?
Yeah, you're right on that. I mean, and let's be honest. I mean, outside of Travis Kelce and George Kittle, I mean, Travis Kelce, first ballot Hall of Famer, top 3 tight end of all time. And then you have Kittle, who's one of the best. Outside that, Dallas Goedert's got to be probably the best tight end in the league. I mean, in 12 games, 702 yards, 69 receptions, and then he had 3 touchdowns, 58 yards per game. He only had a fumble. Like those are great numbers for 12 games.
He's a great blocker too.
Yeah, great blocker too. A lot of the times you don't really see a lot of people block as much for tight ends anymore. You see guys like the Atlanta tight end, the name has left me. But you see that guys are just converted into wide receiver. You didn't see Kelsey. He's not in the trenches too much, even though the Chiefs have been running more 13 personnel. But Dallas Goedert, a great tight end. I know that they do like to run a lot of 12 personnel. So you could see a lot. You could see a lot more of that from the Eagles. But Dallas Goedert is a great tight end. The Eagles have had great tight end history. If you look back at the last couple of years, and this roster, I mean, like you said, there was so much criticism from the from the Eagles GM, and just like looking at the roster and how it's formed, yes, that will always be lingering about the Justin Jefferson. But if they go win a Super Bowl, everyone will forget about them surpassing Justin Jefferson. That won't matter anymore. So speaking of the Super Bowl, now that we got into some of the offseason takes, who do you got in the AFC side and who have you got on the NFC side?
Yeah, and again, I try to keep it as unbiased as possible, but I really truly think that the Eagles really will make a huge run to the Super Bowl. I think I would love to see 49ers and Eagles matchup in the NFC, which I think is what it'll come down to. And I think whoever has the best game and plays the cleanest game when it comes to turnovers will win. On the other side of the ball, on the other side of the conference, you have, in my opinion, the MVP this year. Again, that's unbiased as I could be, Patty Mahomes.
And that's we'll get to real quick, and then we'll get back to your thought there. Is not a lot of Eagles fans, especially true Philadelphia Eagles fans, will be willing to sit there and say that Patrick Mahomes is the MVP of the league. And it is unfortunate. I love Jalen Hurts as an Oklahoma fan because he was right there at MVP. So for you to say that Patrick Mahomes is a MVP guy, and this is a Chiefs podcast, you're getting the real deal, guys. I know Gabe, there's been times he has been perfectly honest with the team when he had had to watch Mark Sanchez throw a football. That was brutal. He wasn't sitting there saying that, they're going to win the Super Bowl. When he had to watch Barkley, I don't even remember the guy's first name, playing quarterback, and Bruce Brown and all those guys.
Matt Barkley, yeah.
Yeah, Matt Barkley. He's giving you the real deal. So I know you mentioned the Chiefs in the AFC side. So who are some of the teams on the AFC side you got going to the Super Bowl?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think Eagles are very fortunate to be playing in the NFC right now because I think there's a 3-headed monster over there in the AFC with the Bengals, Bills, and Chiefs. I think that's the tail over there. The tail over there is like just great quarterbacks. They have great quarterbacks and they have dynamic offenses. With Josh Allen, who has probably one of the most live arm in football right now. Joe Shiesty, Mr. Joe Burrow, leading the charge for that dynamic offense with Jamar Chase and those guys over there. And you got Patty Mahomes, which, let's be honest, doesn't have Tyreek Hill, but still is putting up ridiculous numbers. So that tells me, going back to that MVP conversation, if you take Patrick Mahomes out of that offense, I don't think the Chiefs will be in the position that they have been in the last couple of years without him. He's there. He goes through his progressions well. He can go throw on the run. He makes things happen. And the offensive line, in my opinion, is one of the best in football, led by Orlando Brown. So they do a very, very good job over there with the Chiefs. But I think the Chiefs, it's the Chiefs conference to lose, to be honest.
Yeah. And as a Chiefs podcast, we do try to, keep it as realistic as possible. When you lose your top receiver like a Tyreek Hill, because Tyreek Hill, there's people like a AJ Brown. There's people like a Odell Beckham. There's people even like a Justin Jefferson. But there's no one quite like a Tyreek Hill. There's no one that is that fast and that quick off the ball. And I didn't think the Chiefs were going to set the franchise record for wins this year. So when you see a team that Patrick Mahomes' game elevated when he lost his number one receiver, there's not too many quarterbacks I know that could do that and still lose their number one receiver. The only other quarterback I, off the top of my head, remember in history was thinking Tom Brady. I think it was in 11 or 12. He lost Randy Moss, and it was just Julian Edelman. And, Danny Amendola and those guys, and everyone criticized that all the Patriots offense is going to be good. That was a while ago. And then you see Patrick Mahomes insert his offense, and all of a sudden, boom, they were the top offense in the league, right there with the Eagles. So, I could see the Chiefs. If the Chiefs don't win a Super Bowl this year, of course, I will be upset. You know how I get throwing bulbs in walls when my Chiefs lose. But, I think the Bills are a team that can do it. I think the Bengals and Chiefs, I feel like they got to get up the monkey off their back. They got to go over the hump of the Bengals. Because that's the only team in the AFC they haven't just beaten and they know they can beat is the Bengals, which sounds crazy is because the Chiefs have just beaten so many teams over the years. So I could see that, the Chiefs or the Bengals or even the Bills, those three-headed monsters, like you said. And on the NFC side, give me your NFC prediction. I know you said that you'd like to see the 49ers and the Eagles. How do you think what that game would come down to as we almost wrap things up here at the TPT podcast?
Yeah, both defenses, the defensive line will have to show up, which I think that will be a very defensive game. Eagles in the league in sacks as a defensive line. And let's not take away or discredit the 49ers defensive line. They do a great job pressuring the quarterback. So I think it's going to be a defensive game. I think whoever gets to the quarterback the most and disrupts the offense will win the game. I think it's going to be a minimal scoring game. I say 24-17 Eagles in favor of the Eagles. But I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. You're going to see a lot of run plays run from the 49ers side of the ball. I think they're going to really play smash mouth football. I don't think I'm not a true believer in Purdy just yet. I think he hasn't played a real defensive line just yet. And we're going to see that in that game if that happens. So
I couldn't agree more. So I really like the 49ers. There's something in my bones that says Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl, but then it's like I forget about Brock Purdy because it's I don't mean to just crap on Brock Purdy because he was Mr. Irrelevant. He has done a good job with the team so far, but you could throw Trey Lance in there, and I think they would be right here. You could have Jimmy Garoppolo, who I think is similar to an Alex Smith type guy. I don't know if he ever can get the job done and winning a Super Bowl, but he's a winner. Like the guy will find a way to win and put the ball in the playmaker's hands. And they just have a good system. They have a good team. I just feel like there's so many guys, so many backups you could put in the league and put in that system. But can Brock Purdy really, truly get in the playoffs? Because, again, we have to even see in the divisional round, in the wild card versus the Seahawks, because we know Pete Carroll, he's been around. He's going to throw some things on Brock Purdy. Even if he survives that game, he's going to have to go in the divisional round, and it's a tougher test each time. And they're going to have to go to Philadelphia. And that's not easy as a rookie quarterback in the playoffs. I mean, I would have to look up that statistic and see what the numbers would be with Brock, a rookie quarterback going into Philadelphia and trying to win a playoff game. I mean, there was times where Brett Favre couldn't get it done in Philly in the playoffs because it was that tough to win in Philadelphia. So that's my only thing about the 49ers is they have such a great defense, great offense, but what can Brock Purdy do? Can he truly go in there and beat a guy like Jalen Hurts? Because in my opinion, in the playoffs, everyone says defense wins championships. Defense wins games nowadays. You do have to have a defense to win a championship. But look at the Chiefs. They're criticized each and every year of not having a great defense. They're either in the AFC championship game or the Super Bowl. So it's about your quarterback at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The last subpar quarterback to win a Super Bowl, Nick Foles, he had a great run in the playoffs. So it's about your quarterback. So I'll be curious to see if Brock Purdy can get it done versus a guy like Jalen Hurts, because that's what it's going to come down to. All right, guys, before we get out of here, Gabe is going to tell us what he's been up to, what he's got going on, anything got brewing. We know that you like to post on TikTok, and you post great TikToks. And tell us some of your social media and some of the things you got going on, man.
Yeah. So besides working in my job and helping my parents launch their church in St. Cloud, I've been working on my own personal business as a copywriter. So if you know anybody out there, anybody who's watching, who is just starting a business and needs help promoting their product or their business, whether it be through email ads or whether it be through website prompts, whatever have you, if you want to market your business better using words, let me be your guy. You can find me at Judah Wright. That's JUDAHWRITE.org. Judah Wright. Request me, and would love to help you out. So that's what I've been doing.
There it is, guys. I'm going to have it up on the screen for you guys so you guys can go check it out. We may have to get this going for Jaden's jerseys because we do need some advertising I'm going to definitely have to hit you up about that. So we want to thank Gabe for being on the TPT podcast. We may have to have him on next week to see who the Eagles are matching up against, because we do have some people that are Eagles fans that watch the pod. So appreciate you being on here, man. We hope everyone has a good playoffs. Good luck to your teams out there. And of course, go Chiefs.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell, follow us on all social media, and check out our videos each week.